I'll be right back, folks. Just turning on a light. We're going to get started. Okay. So, I am live streaming a lot earlier than usual. Live streaming a lot earlier than my usual schedule that I've tried to keep for the vast majority of the month. But today's Halloween. I can't stream later because we'll get trick-or-treaters. So, got to go now. Might not get anybody in the chat room because of this, or if we do, it'll be hi, Chrissy. It looks like just us for now, but thank you very much for joining me. Let's get started here. So, the prompt for today is really good for Halloween. It was mask. And then, there's a lot of different directions I could go there. So I put a poll up on Twitter. I said, what should I do? Jason Voorhees, thinking sort of like Halloween, scary, plus I wasn't very happy with the one I did back on Friday the 13th this month. Or a superhero, totally appropriate. People want to see more superheroes. Hey, Keith. Or the last choice was me when I was a real-life superhero. Everybody, not everybody, the vast majority voted for Jason Voorhees, so I'm going to give that a shot today, focusing on his mask. And we'll see how that goes. Thanks for joining us, Keith. I know it's a lot earlier than usual. Halloween kind of changed what I need to do with the day. But appreciate you stopping by. And I've now offered these drawings to my patrons on Patreon, and they're quickly getting snatched up, which is nice. Wasn't sure if people would actually want them or not. Seems like at least a bunch of people do. So that makes me feel good, knowing that, like, I got out of this what I want. I wanted to sort of just have a personal exercise where I just worked on improving, and then didn't really have much of a goal on what to do with the artwork. So it's nice that there's going to be homes for a lot of these pieces. And I'm glad I can give it to some of the people that are financially supporting the show and the channel. So just a token of my gratitude for what they're doing for me. Whoops, let's see, got a pop-up window blocking the chat. Hey, Shirley, nice pumpkins. Keith says he doesn't get trick-or-treaters out in the boonies. We also do not get many trick-or-treaters, so what Chrissy and I did this year is we decided we would spoil the few that we do get. So we got them like nice big packs of like 6 to 8 of those mini-size bars, and then we'll let each kid take 2 of those. There's a lot of choices. Then we also got them, we went to the free comic book day thing for Halloween, picked up a bunch of comics, so we'll have comics to give away. We have little Lego sets to give away, and we have activity books. So they'll get a bunch of candy, activity books, comics, and a Lego set, the few that do stop by. So we'll just spoil the heck out of the few that we do get. Make the most of it. The first 10, 111. Yeah, that's what we're rewarding is our first 10 to stop by. And then we do have, like, just sort of a backup bowl just in case this year is completely different. And we do get a bunch of people. We have like regular sort of little bite-sized candy bars we can give to them. But I think chances are likely that we won't get too many. We'll see. Oh, look, True Fan Forum. Trick-or-treating at your place rocks. Well, at least this year, hopefully it will. We're trying to sort of go all out and have some fun, because why not? We like to be nice to kids and be good neighbors and stuff, so yeah. Maybe we can even kickstart something so that this neighborhood becomes a little more family friendly or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Fred Fournier joins and says, "Hello, all." The Friday the 13th sound in the movie. Kill, kill, kill. Sound in my Friday the 13th movie would be me eating chips. Anybody else doing anything fun for Halloween? Are you going out tonight? Or are you gonna did you decorate your house at all for trick-or-treaters? Anything fun along those lines? If so, let me know. Let's get ourselves in the Halloween spirit. Maybe you have a favorite Halloween special or movie that you like to watch. I don't know. Look at this. Ghost Dog and Aldi, thank you both for joining so early. Yep. Final Inktober stream for the year. So I try to sort of keep this one a little simple, but I could get lost in the details once I start getting into Jason's flesh and stuff. We'll see. Anything's possible. It's past midnight here, so Halloween is already over. How was it? Anything interesting happen? Let us know what the future holds. Tell us. Tell us about the future. Chrissy's going to have a seance and levitate her cats. Oh my god, that's so scary. The Thing is a cool horror movie. Definitely a must watch. Totally agree. One of the best. One of the most entertaining. So good. Making you feel claustrophobic and paranoid. It is strong. Hey, Sigamigs. It is Jason again. I put it to a vote. I went on Twitter and said, here are a bunch of options. What do you want to see? And the vast majority of people voted for Jason. That's okay because I didn't feel like I did a very good job on the one that I drew on Friday the 13th. So this gives me a chance to sort of uh, redeem myself. Any of the Tremors movies are a good choice. I love that franchise. uh, I like the first one. I'm not sure how many of the sequels I've seen. I probably saw the very first sequel, but after that, I don't think I kept up. So I'm not super hip to the mythology there. But I have heard that Kevin Bacon is coming back to make a new one, so it could be fun. Shirley got Hocus Pocus and Something Wicked This Way Comes. Very cool. It seems that inking is more easy than before. Yeah, maybe. Trying to make improvements anyway, and trying to be consistent with how I ink. So it's very hard to tell if you've made improvements. It really takes time before you're like, yeah, maybe I did or maybe I didn't. It's very hard to say. What are the questions? Ghost Dog says, have you heard of Mark Texeira art? One of my favorite comic book artists. Of course, yeah. Mark Texeira had a really good run on 90s Ghost Rider. It was one of the best parts of that book was his art. Did some stuff on Wolverine and Punisher in the 90s. He was sort of faded away after that. I mean, I know he's still around, but I don't see him on big titles anymore, so I don't know what happened. Have you noticed an improvement in your inking since the first stream? Um, Not a significant one, but then again, this is only 31 days, right? So it would be kind of weird in a way if I made a huge leap within that short a period of time. Uh, Even though the being able to live stream is over, I'll still continue to draw. I draw all the time, or maybe it's more accurate to say I sketch all the time. Um, so I want to keep improving. We'll see. Is there an established reason for the hockey mask? Did he coach the Camp Crystal Lake hockey team or something? That's from TARDIS Writer. No, he actually did not wear the hockey mask originally. He got that in part three, the third movie. So he just, somebody else that he killed happened to have it, and he liked it, I guess, so he picked it up and put it on and never took it off. Um, yeah. That said, the continuity from movie to movie is very loose. They make plenty of weird mistakes, so it's best not to think about it too much. But yeah, he didn't wear it until the third movie. Uh, hey, comic book guy, thanks for joining. After 40 days, power restored at my house. Oh, Kira, that's such great news. Congratulations. Wow. So it's supposed to be just turned on from this point forward? Or you've got a generator or what? Just curious, but happy to hear some good news. 30% of the island has power, and I am one of the few lucky ones. Well, good. I hope you're able to to pay it forward. I won't forget the holes in the mask, Fred. I'm just not quite there yet. What are some of the most disturbing movies you've seen? I can think of a few. The original version of Funny Games I found very disturbing. Martyrs is one that sticks with you. I won't watch this Serbian horror movie one. I've just heard that that's just too depraved. So I haven't watched that, but I've heard that one can really mess you up. The movie Meet the Feebles by Peter Jackson, sort of like a dark Muppets movie. That one really freaks me out. I don't enjoy that actually. It's too mean spirited and dark. So those are a few that stick with me and creep me out. Old Boy is disturbing, not a horror movie. Yeah, there's a lot about it that's disturbing, but so I'll just leave it at that in case people haven't seen it. Definitely a freaky movie, freaky idea behind it. I never bothered watching the American remake version, but the original's great. I want to say that director just did one that I saw last year. What was it? Or maybe it was early this year. A Handmaid's Tale? No, The Handmaiden. The Handmaiden from Korea. The Handmaiden's really good, not The Handmaid's Tale. Just doing a bunch of black right now, and then I can go in and lay in some detail. Hey, Gersh, thank you for joining. Remake was okay. Really? I'll take your word that it's okay, but if it's only okay, I don't feel like I need to see it. The original's really good, so I'd rather not muddy my memory on that one. And I'm not really against remakes too much. For instance, I think the original Dawn of the Dead is a really, really good movie. But I think the remake is entertaining. And it's different enough that I don't mind. So that's a remake example. I don't mind too much. Anyway. All right. Let's see what else I can do here. TARDIS Writer says, Old Boy is great. Can't imagine a remake. Lady Vengeance is similar and also good. Yep, Lady Vengeance is good. Try to make the skin of Jason like Freddy, pizza aspect. I will. That'll all sort of go in here. That'll all go in here. So I'm not there quite yet. I'm holding off because that's kind of the fun. Adding texture like that. That's one of the more fun aspects. I would say that like the structure and then the initial spotting of the blacks is sort of the toughest part. If I can get that done, then I can move on to the fun stuff. Trying to think of like another remake that's good. An example of a good remake. It is a little tricky, actually. Uh, well, I mean, I'm doing a Jason from Friday the 13th. I thought the remake was fine because I don't like I like these movies, but I don't think that they're anything that special. So that was good. But I did not care for the Rob Zombie Halloween remake. I think it missed the point of what made it scary. There you go, Fred, filling in a few of the holes. Oh, Scarface was a remake. That's true. That's true. And that's a good remake. Um, Good example. What are your thoughts on the announced Resident Evil remake? Honestly, hadn't heard that it was going to be remade, but fine. Um, Resident Evil movies were fairly entertaining for what they were, but certainly there's a lot of room there to come up with a completely different interpretation. And I don't think that there's going to be any fans that are like, no, don't touch that, don't touch those Paul Anderson movies. They're so well done. Nobody's going to be like that. So yeah, I think that that's probably a good idea. Had not heard that though. It's news to me. So strange that nobody can crack how to adapt video games into a good movie. And I say that thinking that like the Resident Evil movies are like one of the few examples of at least a successful adaptation. I think that they're fairly entertaining for what they are. They're not going to really win any awards, but they're not bad. Well, maybe they are kind of bad, but that doesn't mean that they're not entertaining. Some questions. What are your thoughts on the new Halloween movie? Asks Sigmigs. Um, uh, Cautiously optimistic. I think that Jody Hill and Danny McBride have produced a lot of really cool stuff, and they may have an interesting take on it. I think it maybe does a disservice to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back again, since they've already done that. Feels a little desperate, but cautiously optimistic. Hello, Senso G. Yeah, I agree, Shirley. The remake of Psycho by Gus Van Sant was pointless. There was just that was a weird idea. Shot for shot remake. What do you gain out of that? Anyway, not good. Nice to see somebody new, Senso G. Appreciate it. Grand Theft Auto could be a great movie if done right. Something like Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, I guess so. But at that point, I don't know. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Um, I think a good video game movie will come when somebody who grew up with cinematic video games directs one. Maybe. Or maybe they just need to um, sort of take one with like cutscenes and just decide not to change it up too much. Like The Last of Us. If you adapted The Last of Us, I don't think you have to like really make too many changes there. That's a pretty fantastic story. It's Yeah, it's pretty darn good. Let's switch to a different pen. If you were an artist on a monthly comic book, this is from Lobo, would you deliberately avoid digital art so that you could sell your paper art for an extra revenue stream? No, I wouldn't deliberately do that. I would consider it but mostly based on like how much time is there for the project. I can do work faster digitally, basically. So that would be where I'd think about it. Um, but that's easy to say. If that was your whole income stream, like just drawing comics, then that could factor into the equation, right? It depends on how much money you need to be making at a certain point in time, and then maybe that would sort of dictate the answer more than anything else. Interesting question. Fred says Splatterhouse was a good video game inspired by Jason. Yeah. And Shirley tells Senso G that to watch my comic tropes videos. Well, there's a good chance that's exactly what brought this person here. I've watched several so far. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Senso G. What's that screen name from? That's an interesting screen name. Is that an existing character? Is that part of your name? Like, where does that come from? Oh, I knew it sounded familiar. Chrissy and I have been to Sensoji. We were in Tokyo just a little over a year ago, and we got to see it. Thank you. It was driving me nuts that I wasn't placing it. That's why I had to ask. I'm like, what am I forgetting? Something fairly big. Is Jason holding a mirror? Yeah, that's sort of my idea here. Is that this is just like he cracked, well, either glass or a mirror. I guess I hadn't given that aspect too much thought. Um, so yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was he grabbed a shard of something sharp? He's always holding like a machete. I was like, let's have him grab something a little different. Duke Nukem could be a cool movie, or even Doom. No Doom movie already exists. Fair enough. TARDIS Rider says, before I learned about EC, I thought Charlton was the best horror company around here. Best horror company around. Have you read many Charlton books? I think someone is making a documentary about them. Um, Not many of their horror books. I've read some of their superhero stuff. Um, I'm trying to think. There's a possibility I may not have read any of Charlton's horror stuff. It's not Nothing's coming to me right now, so there's a good chance I haven't. Uh, Need to ask my buddy Benito Sereno if I've what famous Charlton stuff there is. He's a expert on comic books and horror. By the way, in addition to comic tropes and Inktober, I had a third daily artistic project throughout the month. I curate every year, as in like I assemble and edit horror movie reviews for every business day of the week, and that's on robotspajamas.com. I also wrote an article, but yeah, I assembled the talent, and I've done that like every year for like 4 years, and so that was another of my daily projects for this month. It's been a very busy month. How long is this stream going to be? Basically until the sun goes down, probably. Uh, yeah, I thought maybe his NAF snapped off, and somebody said surely. I mean, maybe, but I was trying to give some sort of reflective sheen to it. Maybe that's hard to see from this point of view. That's my thinking. Nintendo says that he just made it. Welcome. Doing a Guyver 1 inking. Oh, that's pretty cool. Guyver is a great design. Guyver is a great design. I like the premise. I've never really cared for like the anime, and I didn't really care for the first for live action movie either. The second one I sort of like just because it's pure action. It's not really very nuanced, but it's all right. Charlton Comics rocks. House of Yang, Hong Kong Fooey, can't go wrong. Binge watched Stranger Things, loved it. Cool. We're gonna watch some more tonight. We're only a little of the way into season 2. Fred likes the skin and ear. Thank you. Tried to do a little detail on that since you showed some interest. Wanted it to look pretty good. Um, yeah, it's not bad. Uh, Ghost Dog says the skin looks so gross in a good way. Yeah, I was definitely trying to think of like not so much burned skin, but waterlogged skin will wrinkle in a very specific way. So you just sort of have to add lots of twists and turns to it, and it's pretty gross. That's what I was thinking of anyway. Um, Another question in here. Have I read any doujinshi? Is that the actual title, or is that a type of comic? Doujinshi. I'm probably not pronouncing it right because I'm not really sure what that is. I probably have not, since I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I have probably not read it. Um, Fill me in on what it is. I want to know. It's a type of fan comic made in Japan. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've heard of it. No, I haven't read any Sigamigs. Nintendo says this looks like from Jason Lives. Am I right? Hold on. Let me think for a second. Jason Lives was part 6. Yeah, basically this is part 6. If I had gone further, that would have been part 7. So he would have had like a broken off bit of his mask here, and he would have been even grosser with like parts of his skull exposed and stuff, and he would have had a chain around his neck. And before part 6, he was still alive, not really a zombie. So yeah, I guess by default this is part 6. You are correct. Whoa, TARDIS Rider, just hit me up with a super chat. I've really enjoyed this month in your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I will do my best. Sincerely appreciated it. Wow. That is really awesome. Thank you. Um, I'm about to start drawing something else. I figured if I went far enough with this and I have time, I'm going to do a second drawing tonight. So I'm just about to start that. Let me just see these questions. Thank you, Kiro. Kiro gives me a compliment. Sigmig says, found an imported Attack on Titan 1 in half-price books. Very nice. I have yet to actually read Attack on Titan. I've flipped through it the artwork, I don't love it. So I'm going to try to watch a little of the anime. I have it queued up on Netflix. It's in my queue, and I just haven't gotten to it. If I really like it, then I'll go ahead and read it too. So, comic book guy wants me to put more wax and pus in the air. Well, you know what? If it was being colored, maybe. Gersh says, 2 really nice kids visited me today for Halloween. I locked them in a cellar, didn't know what to do with them. Any suggestions? That's horrible. You better be joking, because otherwise I'm going to be so depressed I kill myself. You better not. Okay. So I started a little sketch here. Going to start something completely different in a sec. Hold on. As much as I love Jason, you should have done Michael Myers for Halloween's sake. Maybe. I meant to do a video on Instagram drawing him, but didn't get to him. I do like Michael Myers. Wearing my Halloween shirt right now. I do like Michael Myers. I like Jason a little more. That said, the first Halloween is a far superior movie. All right. Is that the guy from Dreadstar? Asks TARDIS Rider. Nope, not quite. I'm glad you're kidding, Gershgorsh. I kind of assumed you were. This is me. This is a few years ago now. I used to be what they call a real-life superhero. As in, yeah, I dressed up in a costume, this costume, and patrolled the city, breaking up fights, helping people get home, finding burglars, weird stuff like that. It was probably not a great idea, but I thought that it would be. No, comic book guy. I have not seen Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem. Not a big fan of Rob Zombie's movies. Might not get around to that one. Anyway, since the prompt was mask, I was thinking of my old mask from years ago. And I just felt like drawing it, because I don't think I've ever tried to draw it. You looked badass. Well, it was at a time where I was in much better shape. I had been doing the insanity workout every day, seeing a personal trainer every other day, and I had been doing Krav Maga for 3 years. So I was in a much better shape. I had a bulletproof vest under this. My alter ego was Omega. And I think I saw you in some documentary, but I could be wrong. I wasn't in like the documentary on like HBO. I knew that they were going to show some real goofballs, and I just didn't really want to be included in that. But I was in a couple smaller documentaries, including one that was on ESPN, because they were talking about Phoenix Jones and how he does this and is also a professional MMA guy. So I was in that one. But it was towards the end of what I was doing, and I changed the costume a little, and I put on some weight. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, no weapons. I didn't go around with any weapons or anything. But I did. I carried a big med kit. I did have pepper spray. Never used it, happy to say. And I wore a level 3A bulletproof vest underneath this sort of armored jacket that I wore. 3A can stop a lot of, like, it's as powerful as a bulletproof jacket as there is, but it can also stop knife and puncture weapons. Happy to say, never really got put to that test, never got stabbed, never got shot at. Did have people pull knives and guns, no one ever used them. Did I roll with Phoenix Jones? I did. I did. Yeah. So, ultimately, I sort of decided that I didn't feel like I was really making a difference as this. I thought it was worth trying. I was new to town. Phoenix was a nice guy. I thought I'd give it a try, but ultimately, I didn't feel like I was doing anything that I couldn't do as a civilian. The reason I decided I would give this a try is I really thought for a while that maybe it would like be a symbol and inspire people to be better. But I didn't really witness any of that happening in like the year or so that I was being a real life superhero. So I look back in it and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I was thinking. It was exciting. I'm not going to lie. I did get in some fights or break up some fights. Is more likely how I would describe it. I gave emergency medical aid to a number of people that had been injured either by being drunk and fallen over or by being in a fight. Or one time I witnessed a cab run into 3 people on the street. I don't know how he didn't see them, but he just plowed into them. Very disturbing to see. Administered aid and stopped the cabbie from leaving. He was ready to leave. Had to testify on that one. One time saw somebody so drunk that they crashed into a car and pulled away with the person's bumper just dragging off the back of their car. So I was with 2 other real life superheroes, as they called themselves, and we followed her to where she lived, called the police, because what can we do? She did threaten to stab me, but clearly that didn't happen. So yeah, I had weird adventures. Did you ever manage to recreate the Mary Jane and Spider-Man kiss scene from the first movie with a damsel in distress? Well, I have a fiance, and I did at that time as well. So no, I never did that. But there was one time. It made me think of a story. We were near a bunch of clubs, and there's a lady coming out of a club, sort of like a guy is almost sort of half dragging her, half holding her up, and she's passing us and has a smile on her face, but mouths something like, and I go, "Oh, Phoenix, did you just see that?" He's like, "Yeah, did that person just say help me?" I'm like, or like mouth help me, and I was like, "I think so." And we ran over to her, and like she was just sort of being dragged away by a dude because she was so drunk. And so we just sort of got in a conversation, and eventually the guy that was trying to take her home just sort of got embarrassed and left. And she said thank you. I say lady because it was a trans person. It doesn't really matter. Just what happened. So I think at some point I'm going to make a comic book about what I did during that year. You know, what I learned. I think it could be interesting. Seattle sounds insane. Yeah, well, at that point in time, there were 3 different superhero teams. So yeah, our Seattle was a little nutty at that point in time. I don't think any city necessarily needs even 1 superhero team, let alone 3, but what do I know? Yeah, had a lot of bizarre adventures. But honestly, I think that you'd have those same adventures if you were dressed in your civilian clothes and you simply walked around the dangerous parts of the city, the most crime-ridden parts of the city, uh, and waited until the bars all closed at like 2 a.m. or whatever. Like, you don't need to be a superhero to encounter that stuff. You just need to put yourself in a place where crazy stuff happens every single night. But yeah, ultimately, I was like, I don't think that what I'm doing is like, I may help an individual here and there, but I could help lots of individuals by just donating my money to charity and stuff. I don't need to like do this. I didn't think I was necessarily making the city a better place on a grander scale. So I eventually just sort of phased it out and sort of stopped. Gershigor says, here we've gotten into parkour, and as a heroic deed, we helped homeless animals as our main goal, and they were our friends. They were always close to us. We built them a shelter and supplied with food. Aw, that's awesome. That's really nice. We did a lot of homeless handouts. Would organize that, and I'll still do that. Just realized that I didn't necessarily need to try to be a superhero to do that. Sigamig says I would buy your memoir in a heartbeat. TARDIS Rider says a place where crazy stuff happens every single night. Sounds like my swinging bachelor pad. Ghost Dog says when's it going to come out? I don't know. I haven't started it. It's just an idea. It's just an idea. It's real life. You know, it's something I went through. There are a lot of adventures. I mean, more than I'm even hinting at right now. But I'd have to really think about the structure of like, you know, when I sort of came to my realization that I didn't feel like. Well, actually, I guess I sort of know, but that's something I'll probably just hold on to for a little while longer. But anyway, yeah, pretty cool. I did wear lead-lined gloves, so if you punch someone with those on, they drop. So glad you guys aren't in Manhattan today. What did I miss in the news, Shirley? What's happening in Manhattan? I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know what you're talking about. A shooting? Oh, man. All the time. All the time. I feel like all our politicians are owned by the gun lobby. We ask them to change things and they never do. And up until a few months ago, I was a gun owner. And I'm like, there just needs to be more background checks. It's way too easy to get a gun, to get lots of guns. And they just never took any steps, like any. And I was just like, well, I'm sick of being a gun owner. So I sold them. It wasn't a shooting, it was a truck. Oh, man, that is awful. Aldi says, I'm glad I live in Germany. Yeah. Yeah, I'm jealous. Mm. Oh, I'm sorry. That like is so depressing to hear this stuff constantly. It's just a never-ending stream of violence. I don't get it. Like I thought we all cared for each other. I don't get it. I don't like guns. I'm afraid of them. Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. They have one purpose, to kill. There's nothing else you can do with them. Can't like open a can of soup or something. So, I liked to just go to the shooting range. That was something I enjoyed, like for target practice. But the actual point of it, of course, is just to stop someone. So that they should be sort of scary. I mean, that's a scary goal. Here in Puerto Rico, in the city of Bayamon, 10 were shot in 2 days. Wow. What is the worst comic you ever saw? Says Comic Book Guy. All right, I appreciate that question. Let's say, what's the worst? Honestly, I don't like to beat up on anyone. But I think one of the worst I ever saw was Civilian Justice. I did an episode on it because it just felt so exploitative in a gross way. It felt like it was exploitative of 9/11, trying to make a superhero, with that as their tragedy, like just losing a girlfriend. I was like, that's pretty cliche. And then, it was a supposedly normal guy that was stopping bullets by spinning the American flag. The caricatures of people from the Middle East were like pretty flat out racist, I thought. So there was a lot. And then just on a technical level, the art wasn't good and the lettering was confusing and the colors weren't exciting. So that's one of the ones that I personally just didn't care for. Um, Maybe there's fans of it out there. I don't know. Not for me. I thought that one was bad on just about every level. Oh, Holy Terror, says Comic Book Guy. Yeah, well, Frank Miller just lost his mind at some point. Boy, was I a huge fan of Frank Miller throughout the 80s. I mean, Born Again, Dark Knight Returns. So many great comics. And then he just sort of, after 9/11, he seemed to really get affected by that. Question ended up going back to terrorism. I know. Well, you know what? It's a huge part of all of our lives right now. Terrorism is. So what can you do? It comes up. All we can do is try to talk about it and implement incremental changes. Hope that they make our society better bit by bit. I'm not really for any sweeping big changes, but we have to try things. We have to at least try. I appreciate everybody talking some pretty serious stuff. And I'm sure that a lot of us have, different views, but it's nice that everybody can be civil to each other and not like erupt in a flame war in this group. So, thank you. I really appreciate that all. What's the deal with Frank? He looks like Freddy now. Who's Frank? Oh. Hmm? I missed something. I don't know what's going on now. Hey, Geek Workshop. Oh, Frank Miller. Well, I mean, I think he's probably fighting cancer and he just doesn't want to talk about it. Like that's my guess. I mean, I've seen him and it looks like he might actually be getting better in the latest photos I've seen of him. Um, but supposedly he drank a lot when he was younger, and he might have like given himself some serious illnesses. I don't know. That's purely speculation. I do not know that stuff for a fact. I'm only talking about what I've heard said. It could easily not be true. By the way, nice suit you draw, real life thing, and those ones are always more personalized than even those from comic pages. Yeah, it was a motorcycle jacket to start with, like because they will come with various armored padding, and then I added color to it because I wanted it to be sort of very clearly superhero-y and make sure that people knew that it was a, a suit. So these patches were like very bright red. There was a bright red Omega symbol on each arm. This had like flames and like a bright red Omega symbol. So yeah, tried to add a lot to sort of make it have some color that popped out of all the blackness and stuff. And that part was fun to create a suit. And eventually I sort of upgraded to a completely different suit. It was like I still had the bulletproof vest and then a hoodie with like a luchador red mask because it was easier to see out of and breathe and stuff. Rather than this mask was hard metal. And then over that I had like the kind of body armor that like a correctional officer in a prison would wear, with a lot like nice hard shoulder pads and stuff that I put Omega symbols on. Goofy stuff. This is the first time I'm sort of talking openly about it. Like my fiance and my in-laws know about it, but I never told any of the rest of my family or most of my friends. I told a few. Just sort of a story that I'm hanging on to and will someday make into, I think, a good comic book. We'll see. Now I know it's Ghost Rider on a Suzuki without the flames. Okay. TARDIS Rider says, I haven't seen a single trick-or-treater out tonight. Maybe because it's Tuesday. Yeah, maybe. Hope I get at least a few tonight. Well, I can't believe that Inktober is almost over. It's been a really nice journey with getting to talk with everybody. This has been a real treat. I've enjoyed it. I'm definitely giving thought to how I can do some more live streams. I think I will look into doing like a weekly one where I draw, and then there could be other sort of special events in the future where I do like sort of a daily thing for a while. So definitely something I'm giving thought to because I've enjoyed interacting with everybody here, and I've enjoyed sort of practicing and working on improving. It's been a lot of positive to all of this. some questions. What was your scariest memory on patrol? Um, I would say probably the time I saw the people hit by the taxi cab right in front of me, and I had to administer like first aid and keep the cabbie from leaving while waiting for the police to get there because I felt very responsible for those people, and one of them she was pretty injured. It was scary. Just was worried for somebody else. There was another night where I encountered a young man, very early 20s. It was New Year's evening, and he'd lost his girlfriend. They'd become separated, and she was from out of town, and neither of them had a phone. He was like, "How do I find her?" And we're like, "You need to personally go to the police station and file a report right away." And we were looking for her. And at the end of the night, I actually did find her, or someone that matched her description, in a subway. And the subway should have been closed, but there was someone in there just crying, and I was walking past it, and I was like, "Oh my God, that looks like her." And I'm knocking on the door, and I'm like, "Hold on, I know where you're, are you this person?" "Yes, it was." "I know where your boyfriend is. Hold on, I can take you to him." I had to take off my mask and be like, "I know this is weird, but his name is such and such. He looks like this." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, okay, this does sound legit." And I'm like, so I was able to take her to her boyfriend and reunite them, and that felt good. Oh, wait a minute, I know what the scariest, Jesus, because that prompted another memory. I saw that guy again one night, and he was like, it was for a documentary that we were doing. We were being followed by a camera crew, and we bumped into him, and he was telling his story and everything. And while that was happening, a bunch of people started yelling in the streets, and I mean a bunch. And it was two huge groups of people that were furious with each other, and a bunch of people got into the middle of the street to fight, and we had to run in and hold out our pepper spray and be like, "I'll use this," and just pushing people back from taking a swing at each other, knowing that at any moment one of them might take a swing at me, constantly looking at all these different people to make sure nobody was going to pull a knife on me or something. It was chaos. It was so chaotic. And during all of this, trying to have one of us put in a call to 911 so that the police show up and people calm down. Yeah, it was just really hectic, and it was a couple people did take swings at each other and running in to break it up and put ourselves between the people. And fortunately, no one took a swing at me or anyone else on the team. That was kind of scary, just knowing that a huge brawl could erupt right then and there. Um, and it was just a lot to keep your eyes on. All right. Shirley asks, "What about me? Any trick or treaters tonight?" Not yet, but it is 5:20. The sun is starting to go down. I will probably take off in just a little bit to be able to give out candy to our trick or treaters. So I'm almost done. Thank you for listening to me and asking interesting questions. Appreciate that. Um, yeah, appreciate it a lot. There was like one family outside in my neighborhood. Heck, nowadays it's more safe inside, so I don't blame them. Have you ever read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac by the same guy that made Zim? Yeah, Jonin Vasquez? Yeah, definitely. That was a long time ago. That was like, what, like late 90s, early 2000s, I want to say? I had a friend that was really into it at the time, and he lent me a bunch of those comics. Nate Belgard, he's a professional comic artist these days, but he was really into that when he was younger. Some good stuff in there, for sure. Best hero name would be Billy Fartwagon. Mm-hmm. Sure, of course. No trick-or-treaters tonight. It's too cold here in Chicago. It's 32 outside. Oh my gosh, Morgan, that is cold. Nice uniform, says Keith. Thanks. I think I'm probably going to call it like now. I mean, there's more black on the sleeves and stuff, but y'all get the idea. Y'all get it. Right? I think so. Good job. Enjoyed the month. Cool to interact with one of the best YouTube creators around. Well, you're a nice ghost dog. Thank you. Uh, let's see. Morgan Moore asks, does anyone remember the comic Creed? I definitely do not. Comic book guy wonders if I would draw Billy Fartwagon. Don't know how to answer that one. Don't know what Billy Fartwagon looks like. But congrats on the incredible name. That's something. Maybe I will fill in this black after all. It's I'm so close. I have such a hard time stopping. Once you get started drawing, I always can lose track of the time really fast. I don't know about the rest of you when you're making art, but like my brain stops thinking about time. I'm getting nervous that like my doorbell could ring at any moment. So I really will be stopping at some point soon. I'm just trying to get in those last few details that are driving me nuts. Sigamig says, had an awesome time. interacting with the live streams. Thank you for interacting with us. You don't need to thank me. Thank you, all of you. Like, I've had a great time talking to everybody about all sorts of stuff, pop culture, and politics, and science, and recommendations and hypotheticals. It's been really interesting. Yeah, I'll probably do it again. Uh, uh, so just need to figure out the cadence, but it is something that will continue to happen. Hmm. Hurry, Chris, hurry! That's Chrissy. Yeah, she knows that we're gonna get some trick or treaters. We gotta hurry. Gotta hurry before those trick or treaters get here. Could be any second. Any second, folks. Oh boy. But you never thought that there'd be a ticking clock at the very end of all of these. Oh boy. Oh baby. We gotta go. We gotta go, go, go. Can't let those kids down. They need their sugary sweets. Thanks for the live streams. It's been fun. Hey, Charles, I'm just about to take off. I'm afraid feel like my trick-or-treaters could be here at any moment. Appreciate you joining me for so many of these. Appreciate all of you joining me for so many of these. I feel like some of us got to know each other a little bit. That's nice. It's inked over. Halloween is fun, but Purim is better. You guys are pretty funny. All right, I think that's about as much as I can reasonably do. So that's Omega. That was me when I would dress up as a superhero, and then the other one that I did tonight, Jason Voorhees, which I think actually came out pretty nice. I kind of like where I spotted the shadows on that. Not perfect, but getting better. Had a lot of fun tonight. Had a lot of fun this month. Final thoughts for Inktober. I think that it helped me in some ways. I think I did speed up in certain areas. I think I understood some of the tools that I personally like. I like working with a technical pen. I like working with. I need a even bigger brush for like these big black areas, but I like these Pigmas. That said, these Pigma brushes for fine and medium will run out of ink pretty fast. They will run out of ink pretty fast. I learned that if I draw more slowly, the brush pens and stuff will keep their line more, that they will hold it. If you draw fast, that line will sort of split and break and you'll run out of ink. So you have to sort of actually take your time with things. I enjoyed working very, very much with an actual ink and brush. Found that I got really nice detail with that, but it's also very slow. It's very slow, but you've got a lot of control with the brush and ink, I found. So that was a nice discovery. I just found that the more you can plan and prepare by like figuring out what tools you want to use and having them available and having them fresh, the faster your drawing will go. So that was a good discovery. I found the way that I liked to sort of feather things and worked a little bit on my consistency there. I think I still have quite a journey ahead of me in that regard. But I also, now that I've done so much inking in a row, it makes me think of how when I draw with my pencils, I might leave them for somebody else that would do the inking, where I would put in detail and where I would not. So, yeah, I definitely learned a few things. And that's great. So that was the goal, was to work on my consistency and my speed. I think I got a little faster. I think I got a little more consistent. I think I still have a ways to go to become a good artist, but I did enjoy this journey. I will figure out some sort of ongoing basis of live streams and announce it through the Comic Tropes channel. So as long as you're subscribed there, at some point I'll put up a video announcing what my plans are. Got to think it through some more. So definitely, I hope you subscribe to the Skunk Ape channel, which is really sort of comic tropes mainly, but a few other things. And maybe consider the alert, that like bell on the main page. That way you'll get a warning, or not a warning, you'll get like pinged with an update that there's new content. I still have a bunch of comic tropes that I'm working on, so that will continue on a weekly basis. What else to talk about? I'm hungry. I eat food when I'm hungry. Now you know that. No, it's been good. It's helped me through a tough month. Been a good project. I think I want to continue with it. So thank you all for your company, for asking questions and like making the time fly by. I sincerely appreciate it. It sounds like there's a lot of talented artists and writers among you out there, as well as people that appreciate the medium of comics, what you can do with it, and the history. I've gotten a lot of interesting recommendations and questions. If you want to talk with me, over my head there is my Twitter. I think it might also be my, what's that other social media app? Not Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty sure that's my Instagram as well. I don't use Instagram a lot, but I do use Twitter a lot. So if you want to share a recommendation or anything like that, follow me there. And that's about all. I think all I've got to say tonight. I really do think you guys are fantastic. I've gotten a bunch of new patrons on Patreon this month, and I think it might be because I've been putting out this sort of daily content. It's not getting huge views, but there's obviously engagement with the people that have discovered it. So the trick is just sort of getting in front of new people if I want to grow the channel. I don't know how to solve that. But anyway, it's been a great month. You guys have helped me a lot in ways that I can't fully express right now. But you have all, everybody that's watched this, as well as the people who have joined in the live chats and commented and stuff like that, you've all helped me a lot. I'm going through a tough time right now. The fact that you're all there means a lot to me. It really, really does. So it's been fun. Let's see what else was here. Indiana Jones. That was pretty good. Ninja Turtles. Wish I'd had more time to work on that one. Boba Fett. That was good. Just did a quick like random sketch one night just to show the process of how I draw. Spidey. That one came out all right. Oh, this was another one that I wish I had more time for because I really liked how War Machine was coming out. Never even got to Iron Man, but, well, I sketched it at least. Shipwreck. That was cool. Daredevil. An Optimus Prime that's all beaten up. Ghost Rider, a little problematic. Don't love the pose ultimately, but I do like some of the details on like the leather and stuff and how I handled some of the bike mechanics. I was very happy with this. This is probably my personal favorite. Was just the Dodge Charger. I also had a lot of fun drawing Namor and a bunch of sharks. Final Fantasy VII, Cloud versus Sephiroth. Very happy with that one overall, minus some details in the foreground, and some weird sort of cross hatching that I sort of tried for the first time there. Don't love it, but live and learn. Carl Grimes from Walking Dead. Batgirl, very happy with how that one came out. Hong Kong, wish I had more time to draw that. Very happy with how that was coming out. Very, very happy with that one. Mysterio, probably my biggest disappointment. I feel like it doesn't quite look like him. Started with an interesting pose. Just didn't come together quite right, but that's all right. I did like how Faye Valentine came out. Doesn't quite look like the anime. Looks more like my style. I'm okay with that. There was a Jason where I got lost in the details and made some mistakes. Like this arm was, when I sketched it, was going back and then back out. Instead, it just looks short because I just did a bunch of details. This should have gone into shadow and then come back out. So that was a mistake. But that's okay. I did like the Doctor Strange piece. I would have handled some of the shadows a little different, but this is like halfway point and I was still learning. Interesting little experiment with Iron Fist jumping. Oh, I guess I switched to the other side of the paper here. Had oh, I'm shaking everything. What did I have here? I had Galactus. Galactus, kind of like that one. This one was a real quick sketch because I only had a certain amount of time in New York on vacation, but Screech. Crooked Man from Doctor Who. I do like how that came out, actually. What else did I do in New York? Yes. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. I like the idea I had with this. Needed a little more time to sort of position it all better and for the layout, but I like the idea of this. TARDIS Rider doesn't like Screech. Sorry. Jon Snow. Not bad. Not bad. Wish I'd worked on that hand a little more. And this hand, too. Hands are tough. Hands are very tough. Didn't come out great. Here's one where I had to draw really fast, but drew something a little sillier. Elongated Man. It's kind of fun. I actually am pretty happy overall with this one. That's a creature from the Black Lagoon and a girl screaming. Now, if I know now what I have learned, I would definitely throw some more bubbles on this hand as well and like make it more uniform, but I was sort of figuring things out. And overall, I like that. Fairness and Cobra. All right. Gwenum from day 2. Pretty happy with that. And then here we are in day 1 with just a pretty simple version of the Flash running. So that's what we started with. And then we got to end on something like that. I think that looks a lot more complete. All right, that's everything. I had fun. Thanks for listening to me. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back somehow. Really appreciate what you all have done by just following along. It's meant a lot to me. Take care. I will certainly see you this Sunday with a new comic Tropes, and until then, keep reading comics.